surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion, and I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show. Interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 39, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Chris Mathieu. Chris is an independent researcher, talk show host, and he is the creator of 2 very successful podcasts called Forbidden Knowledge News and Beyond Classified. Chris has a degree in digital media and was an editor at his local television station for 2 years. Chris always questioned the nature of reality since childhood and always had a sense that our reality is much different than what academia and our history books tell us. Chris created Forbidden Knowledge News and Beyond Classified to share important information about the nature of reality from as many different perspectives as possible, and to let his audience decide truth for themselves. On a personal note, I discovered Chris's show, Forbidden Knowledge News, about 4 years ago, and I found it to be very interesting, relevant, and it gave me the insights that I needed to become more fully awakened. So I really encourage you all to check out Chris's podcasts, subscribe, and prepare to be amazed by his content. The links are in the description box below. So Chris, I owe you a great debt of gratitude. Hello, my friend, and how are you doing?
I am excellent, and thank you so much for that wonderful intro. The check is in the mail for that. and yeah, I'm honored to be back. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, I'm thrilled to bits because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. And I know you're going to go because you're a modest man. You're going to go, oh, no, it didn't have anything to do with me. Yes, it did. Because in my awakening process, I needed to find other people who were going down the same rabbit holes as me and people that had the same kind of questions as me and other people that were curious and outside of the box. And your show was one-stop shop for me. I got to see all kinds of different perspectives, information I never even knew about. And it really helped me to get oriented. It helped me to get grounded, and it helped me to get on with the part that I need to play while I'm on the earth. So I just appreciate you so much, not to mention the fact that you've helped me in a number of ways with podcasts and all kinds of things. But we're going to make this more about you than me. So my first question is, how and when did you realize that reality is not what we were taught it was? There must have been some kind of a moment for you or a process.
Oh man. Well, first of all, Karen, I want to thank you for what you just said. That is the whole reason why I do this is in hopes that other people can learn something and get something out of this and do some research for themselves and maybe, turn it around and, pay it forward to someone else and do what they've been wanting to do. I've been doing this for about almost 5 years now, but just this podcast has been about 3, and it's extraordinary to see and hear like comments like that, people saying that they actually got something out of this show and any information. And I have to thank the guests for that. I started this as a little blog on Facebook and never thought it would go anywhere. And, I'm thrilled that I can at least pay my bills and have a roof over my mouth, roof over my head, much less, have the experiences that I've had over the past few years and meet the extraordinary people and know that, some people are getting a little something out of it. It's a wonderful thing. So thank you again for that. And I just knew from an early age that things weren't right. Pretty much as long as I can remember. I never fit in at school, not even with my own family. I just thought that things were just cruel and unfair in the world from an early age and didn't understand why things were the way they were. And I, hard time making friends. And I just ignored it after a while because I wanted to fit in, just like anyone else. So I kind of conformed and started just ignoring the strangeness and things that weren't right, and went through a bit of rebellious stage as a teenager, little bit of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and rebellion from the family, and running with the wrong crowd for a good while until, I entered life with my first marriage, which was a bad one. We all make our mistakes there. And that just kind of set me on a sleeping path. After the marriage, I just went straight to sleep, especially because things weren't good for me at the time.
Mhm.
And I was just ignoring everything and going through the motions. Even when 9/11 happened, I turned patriotic. I was like, man, we got to go bomb these suckers, and just still completely asleep. And I had ignored my inner gut feeling and instincts for so long and just kind of buried it with drugs and alcohol and bad relationships that I wasn't here. I wasn't seeing what was going on. And I was just steadily sleeping until, man, it's amazing how many people have this same time frame. Around 2012 is
Mhm.
when I started to really wake up, and I got a divorce and started researching. And that's how ultimately how I started this whole thing. It just started as a Facebook blog and then turned into a lot more. So that's how it all kind of came to for me.
That's amazing. And actually, my next question, which you already almost touched on, is where did you get the inspiration to actually create Forbidden Knowledge News? Because you had to start somewhere with an idea, a concept, and then acting upon it. It's not always as easy as the way we make it look when we're doing our podcasts.
No,
How did you
it's
decide
really,
to do that?
it's a combination of things. I was listening to a lot of amazing podcasts at the time and talk shows, like Leak Project, Coast to Coast, the Higher Side Chats, things of this nature, a lot of others. And I was just going into deep dives, and I have a lot of these hosts to thank for inspiration on this as well. But I was also doing my own research into like planetary changes, Earth changes, and that was a big part of my early research and my early shows was the changes that our planet was going through.
Mhm.
And that changed after a couple of years because I knew there was much more pressing issues to get to. And occasionally I could touch on the earth changes and planetary issues with people who are smarter than myself who know about this stuff more. But yeah, I was deep diving into earth changes. I was covering weather across the world. And I was doing an okay job, I think, of trying to keep up with all the events going on and posting that. And that was kind of the main concept of the show at the time, until it it kind of shifted. I think, I don't remember if the name wasn't Forbidden Knowledge News at first. It had something to do with like Planet X, because I was big into Planet X at the time, and I thought we were all going to be doomed by Planet X because I was doing deep dives and kind of interacting with a couple of shady people that I had interviewed in the beginning and learned my lesson from. But yeah, that's, you know, you learn about these things. My belief system and everything that I learn about what's going on in the world shifts on a daily and sometimes by the second basis. So yeah, I haven't talked about or focused on Planet X for a while because it's either not real, or if it is, it's not a threat right now or anything we have to worry about, and it may not even be a threat at all. But I really don't think that Planet X is something we should be discussing at the moment unless we have any new evidence, because we've been taken for a ride with that too many times. You know, the world was going to end from Planet X about 10 times now. So yeah, a couple of years ago, I stopped even talking to people about that. And you know, I'm open-minded. I will talk to, if something new pops up, like somebody sees something, or we have some kind of crazy event where there's a planet in the sky. Yeah, I'll start covering it again, or any other type of scientific evidence. So yeah, that's always open, but that was originally just about that and our planetary changes, and I was covering that a lot, and it was conspiracies and metaphysical and ufology thrown in there every once in a while. But then it shifted. That became more of a main focus, just from an intuition basis. And because I had been taken a couple of times, not myself, but I believed that, you know, we were going to die from Planet X. And I was posting a lot of Planet X related material at the time. And once I realized that was kind of BS, I just immediately got out of it and started to reshift my focus on other more important things. And the Forbidden Knowledge News came out of that, and I'm not exactly sure where the name or concept came from, because I think it was Forbidden Knowledge News, Our Binary Twin, or something at the beginning, and then it kind of changed. But the Forbidden Knowledge News just came to me, and after I started covering some of these other important topics, and you know, I started out not just covering ufology. I wanted to cover everything that's not talked about in the mainstream, that people don't talk about on TV, that even if you're watching the History Channel or some woo-woo discovery show about UFOs, they're not going to get into the real stuff. And I wanted to get into as deep as possible, as real as possible, this information, and let the audience decide for itself. And I wanted to get the most credible and inspiring and fascinating people to tell their stories, and most credible researchers and authors and my favorites and all the people that I respected and admired the most, and bring them to my audience and let my audience decide if they felt the same way and wanted to do their own research. And that's how that concept really got started.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, it's a funny thing because, you know, I've had, I would say, different levels of awakening. Some awakening experience I've had is just realizing how much of what we're told is real is not, and how much we're told is not real actually is and could be real. But it's really funny because it seems like a lot of us got hit with this fascination over Planet X or Nibiru, whatever you want to call it, around the same time. And I'm wondering if it's almost like a trail of breadcrumbs that lead us down the road to other things. It was a place to start. And so when I found you initially, I love the fact that you were presenting as much information as you could about that, because that was what I was keenly interested in. Then you're right. I found that there were so many channels that just, you know, everything from, you know, those glares you get in the camera, they were claiming
the lens flares. Yeah, everything was a freaking lens flare. Oh,
yeah,
man.
And on and on and on. But what you also brought to the table was what was going on the earth, so that we could see in 1 week how much has been going on on the planet, and it just blew my mind. And
well, I have to admit, there's still all that going on. We are going through some turmoil when it comes to our Earth changes right now, and the Earth is shaking. There's some birth pains going on inside, but I still think we got a long time till we really should be worried about it. But I do still cover, I will bring people on to cover what's going cosmically, and I believe it's something to do with our sun, not necessarily a planet. I think it's a solar change thing or a shift in the energetic kind of area of the galaxy we're heading towards. Could be that too. That's just my thoughts at the moment.
One thing we can be sure of is that the powers that be on Earth, whether it's government, science, medicine, and they're all a bunch of flipping liars. You can't believe anything they say. So if they say, oh, no, that's not true, it might be true. So as your show evolved, I just got so much out of it, but I noticed you turned into another, not a new direction, but you sort of focused your direction when the 2020, for lack of a better term, I'll call it global shitstorm hit. Then you stopped doing the weather and stuff because you needed to be there for what was going on in society, medically, politically. Oh my God. Even 5 years ago, if anyone had told us what 2020 and 2021 would be like, we never would have believed it. And what a shitstorm we're in now, pardon my language. But what your show has done is kept a really good balance on keeping us aware of what's going on today, but also seeing the historical links. And so whether you have guests on that talk about megalithic structures, space weather, it could be anything. It all is relevant and ties in. And I just appreciate your show so much. And like I said, I wouldn't be here today because, you keep looking and looking and looking and you get discouraged sometimes. You just want to throw the whole thing out and do something else. But I've had a strong calling. I know you've had a strong calling. So my next question is, I know you've had a lot of guests on your shows, and I know one guest is not superior to another guest, but I have to ask you, which of your guests inspired you the most? And what could you tell us about their message? So who really hit you in the sweet spot, really inspired you out of all your guests?
Wow. Oh man, I couldn't name a single one because so many have, and so many have gotten my mind thinking in a different way. I mean, it would be even unfair to myself to single out someone because I know the great knowledge, because where I am now, I owe completely to all my guests and their knowledge and what I've learned from them. I read books. I do out my own research, but the amazing people that I've talked to for hours and hours, and not just on my show, aside from my show, I talk to these people. I've gone to conferences. I've had long, sit down dinners and sessions with a lot of these people. So that's the toughest question that I think I've ever had, because I don't think I could single out anyone. There's people that I really admire for their body of work and how long they've been doing this and not giving up from, all the criticism and everything going on. I mean, look, you can criticize David Icke as much as you want, but he's still here and he is still bringing Spitfire to the table. He is still bringing what a lot of people are knowing now is truth. He was saying it a long time ago. You have to give it to the man. He was kicked in the nuts a long time ago, and he came back, and he's still doing it. He's still bringing out the truth, whether you believe everything about reptilians or not. I don't believe everything the man's saying, but hell, a lot of that shit came true. So, I do respect that. Jordan Maxwell, amazing man, been in this for so many years, brought so much information. That's another, one of the all-time greats. Jacques Vallée, I have not interviewed him, no, but he is, one of my favorite UFO researchers. He's changed the field by bringing consciousness and this metaphysical sense to everything. So Jacques, if you ever hear this, please, I'd love to have you on the show. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that I just respect more than anything, and I owe them everything for giving me this knowledge about what's really going on,
Absolutely. Another person who I discovered on your show was Mathieu Lacroix, and the incredible information he has about the megalithic stones. Now, what you've done is you've brought people who really understand the matrix and do their best to present that to us so we can wake up. But then there are other people like Mathieu who brings the furthest distance past that I never even dreamed was possible to reality, and how that also plays into the matrix. All roads seem to lead to Rome in exposing the society that we live in. And like, for instance, I'm completely convinced that our history was fully constructed and quite recently. So that what really happened, like, for instance, the mud floods and stuff like that, 1700s, nobody talks about that. They had free energy that close to us, but no, they shut all that down to bring in the wires and the overhead high tension lines. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I'm just trying to say that how everybody that you've had on your shows, everybody that I have found through you, has given us a different piece of the puzzle, another component that's not only fascinating and interesting and makes sense and is well researched, but it also all fits together so that we can get a better sense of why we're here and what our unique part is in this great pantomime or play that we're involved in. And so I really, really appreciate that. Were you going to say something about Mathieu?
I was, because when you brought him up, it immediately made me think about how profound the research he's done. And, he was one of my earliest guests. He was so kind enough to want to come on my show and give like a 2-hour presentation with me. He was like maybe my third or fourth guest that I ever had. He's a great guy. Now he's one of my neighbors. He's living here in Colorado. We have yet to hang out together, but he keeps saying, he promises, I know he's a busy guy. He just got a job at Gaia. But Matt, to me, is what Zacharias Sitchin should have been. He is the real deal. He brings these Sumerian mythos, even Egyptian, beyond all prehistory. I mean, the guy's got a 200,000 year timeline that he made. I mean, who does that? He's one of the most profound ancient history researchers that I know, and he's so young. He's going to be, imagine the work he's going to be doing 10, 15 years from now. He's going to be blowing it out of the water, and he already is. So, Mathieu Lacroix is one of the best, and the check is in the mail to him too.
And, I just want to mention another guest. It's not that anyone is better than any other. They're all fantastic. But I got to tell you, I love what Preston Dennett has brought to the table as far as the ET world. He's very methodical, very accurate, very open-minded, and he makes room for all kinds of experiences. So I met him through watching your show is how I ended up meeting him too. So just there's so many valuable people. So I recommend, another thing I love that you've done is you've gone on and now you've reproduced some of your older shows. We've got flashbacks to some of your guests in 2019, 2017, 2016. So we can get that really good stuff that maybe we've forgotten about, because it was relevant then, but it's relevant in a new way today. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and I started doing that because I was looking through some of my back catalogs, and I was like, man, nobody does podcast reruns, and a lot of this stuff is still relevant. A lot of these guests have been very prophetic in what we've discussed, and a lot of the stuff has come to fruition. So, man, I need to go back, bring these episodes back out as, forbidden knowledge classics, and show people this information again, give them a refresher of what we were talking about a few years ago and how prophetic it was and how much of it has actually come true and how accurate so many of my guests have been about predicting what is going to happen just based on their own research. I'm not talking about psychics. I'm talking about people who have done the work, done the research, looked into our false history, looked into the false flags, looked into government corruption, ufology, everything that we're seeing come through now. They were on top of it, and we talked about it, and those episodes are so profound. I had to bring those back to the table, and people are really loving that, and I get a lot of good response from that, and I'm glad because the information is great. And I think that, more people should do a little rerun if they've had, because I've heard some great guests from many podcasts in the past. In fact, that's how I got started doing this, and I'd love to hear them again. So, start doing reruns, people.
Oh, yeah, that's golden. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit because you're a very open-minded person. You've had all kinds of guests on your shows, but it's as it's my understanding that you didn't actually have any paranormal experiences yourself before last year. Is that true? And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that is true. I think it is because I don't remember necessarily anything strange or paranormal unless I blocked it out. I have like a lot of missing time from my childhood to like 12 or 13 years old. But I think a lot of people do. So, I don't know if that's anything significant or not. But yeah, I was always curious about it, always searching for things. I used to go to real haunted houses all the time. When I started doing the show, I even went on my own little paranormal investigation to the Myrtles Plantation, Louisiana. Still nothing. We caught a picture of what could have been a ghost, or it could have been some strange reflection. It was pretty good picture, but I didn't see it up in person. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know what this is. And it wasn't till, like you said, last year. I forget what month it was. I think it was around summertime. Mm-hmm. It was when I was kind of getting out of a bad relationship. I was breaking up with one of my ex-girlfriends and going through a rough time. And I saw what I thought was like a UFO in the sky. And this is a long story, so I'm going to give you the cliff notes of everything.
Okay, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're comfortable with is fine.
So it's a 3-day thing, or maybe 4-day thing that happened with this whole experience. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. But I saw these 3 flames in a triangular formation. One here, 2 there. They're going straight up in the sky. And they're didn't appear to be too fast, kind of just steady going up. And I was talking to somebody and they were looking at me and I was looking at this thing and they didn't see any of it. And it all of a sudden just kind of stopped and stood there in midair for a second and took off, disappeared. It was gone within an instant. I couldn't really explain what it was. And I've never seen anything like it. So I just kept it in the, interesting check mark box there in the back of my mind. But that didn't really think about it after that. At the same time, I'm trying to do meditation. I'm trying to go deep into meditation practices because I had this block in meditation. I couldn't get past a certain point. Mm-hmm. So I was, really trying to do that. And one night I did. I really went past my blocking point in meditation, went as deep as I could. And I, to make a long story short, I kind of made contact with something. It started out as this wonderful feeling of love and this emanating blue light coming into my consciousness. And it started speaking to me. And this is not like anything I've ever experienced. It was psychic instant communication. It would answer a question as soon as I would ask. It said hello. I was kind of freaked out for a while. I even went back to like Catholic childhood dogma. I was freaking out. I said, "In the name of Christ, are you good?" And it immediately love feeling yes. I said yes, and it was like so confident and made me feel so good about it. I was like, "Okay, let's have a conversation." So we start talking. It was the most profound experience I've ever had. It gave me a lot of information about myself, what was going on in the world, things that I needed to know basically to get me moving in the right direction. And you'll kind of see what I'm talking about there after the story ends, but I call you. You're the first one I call, Karen, immediately because you're one of my favorite contactees. You've had some profound experiences, and I thought you might be able to help me understand it, and you did. And you also had a profound experience at that same time, which kind of linked up to mine, which was very interesting. If you want to tell them about what you saw at that time.
Okay, I'll try not to make it too much about me, but basically what happened is you had called me in the afternoon, late afternoon, and told me about this experience, but you were quite shaken by it because it was quite something. And I said to you, spend some time making yourself as comfortable as possible, give it overnight, and then tomorrow let's talk about it in more detail once things have sort of settled for you. So I go to bed that night, and I have a lot of my contact happens while I'm sleeping. I know people would say, well, how do you know it's not just a dream? Well, I don't always know, to be honest. It's quite something. Anyway, in my dream, I saw Chris talking to some very tall blue guy. He was bald, had a long neck, and we were on board a craft. And they were just intensely communicating, not verbally, but like psychically connected and communicating. And I went, oh my gosh. And so the next day, I talked to Chris and I said, Chris, what did he look like? And Chris, I think he said, well, I'm not really sure because it was sort of an etheric.
Yeah, well, I couldn't,
appearance.
that night I didn't see anything except this blue, just bright, beautiful blue light. I couldn't make out any shapes or what this being looked like. It was a combination of this blue light and this amazing feeling of love and acceptance. And it was like, it was the only way I can describe it is like the most craziest drug I've ever been on, but it was just like a love drug. I love my parents this way. I thought, I loved, but this is beyond anything that I've experienced when it comes to this love feeling and acceptance and just at ease and peace. It was a, amazing feeling, but that's all I saw and sensed on that.
Yeah. So then I talked to you the next day, and then I decided, well, I asked you, did you see a blue guy? And you said, well, not really. It was more a blue light and, what you've just told us now. And so I decided to do some research about blue ETs. And I found, I don't know why, just really the closest I could find to what I had seen. Right. And I sent the pictures to you, and you said, one of them you said was very close, although your experience was more etheric kind of.
Yeah, as it went on, I got more image of this being, but it was 2 days later. The next day, I wanted to repeat this experience because I still didn't believe it all the way. I couldn't, I was like, did this really happen? What's going on? Was just me having a hallucination? I don't know. It was pretty profound, but I wanted to have it again just to kind of solidify that this is real. I was experiencing this. So I tried the meditation again. And I was just kind of frustrated. I guess I was trying to push it too hard, and then it didn't work. And then the next day it did. I did this again, deep meditation. Something was telling me to meditate in the tub for some reason. So I did. I went and laid down and put on some tones, 432 hertz tones. I was in warm bath, and man, I went quick into a deep meditation. This time I went to a childhood memory that I blocked out. It was very strange. I uncovered this traumatic event that happened early in my childhood, and I was like, well, what the hell's going on? Because it was, it was like a very good memory, but it was blocked off, and I knew it was real. I could remember everything after that meditation session. I was like, what's going on? And then as I'm kind of freaking out about this, the entity, which, by the way, I have a better understanding of its name and everything because I've gone. At the time, it said, "You wouldn't understand my name. Don't worry about it. Just call me something you're familiar with." And Laird popped into my head, and Laird was one of my favorite cousins when I was growing up. I lost touch with, but I think that's why the name Laird attached itself to this entity. But I also have a brand new understanding of this whole experience now, at least at this moment, but I'll get to that. And so anyway, Laird, I'll call him, this entity of mine shows up, blue light emanating. I kind of get a little bit more of a sense of that with this being is like a blue tall being, but I still can't see anything. And I'm getting this beautiful love feeling and communication. And so we begin another little chat. And I think I asked, who are you? Where do you come from? What are you doing? What are you? And this is the answer that I remember at this point. And I always have the more I go over this and the more I talk to people about this experience, the more different I feel about it. It changes. My understanding and perception kind of grows on it and evolves. But we had a conversation, and I asked, "Where are you from? What do you do? Who are you?" And the being said, "We seed Christ consciousness across the galaxy. We help expand people to Christ consciousness," or something along those lines. And I was like, "Wow, that's cool." And he, I guess, started showing me this images of like the galaxy and things of that nature, and then I remember opening my eyes, and I could still, like, I was still deep in meditation. I was still in communication with this entity, but I could open my eyes and see the bathroom around me. Everything had this weird shine to it, and then I closed my eyes, and it's like all of a sudden I can see space. And I'm like, well, what's going on? I saw like stars and stuff, and I opened my eyes, bathroom's back. I closed my eyes again, and then it's space, but it's through these huge windows. And I'm looking around, and there's this like kind of bluish gray surroundings and floor. Everything's the same color, very sterile looking. And the enormous windows looking out into space, and that's all I see at the time. And there was like different levels. There was like a ground level, a middle level, a higher level, and it was like all circular all the way around me, and enormous windows. Just mostly you could just see windows out into space. And I opened my eyes. I'm back in my bathroom, closed my eyes. I'm like, is this a freaking spaceship? Then what's going on? And all of a sudden, I can start to feel like a lot of more of this feeling of love surrounding me. And it feels like I can tell it's from different beings. If for some reason I can tell this love is coming from this being, this love is coming from a different being over here. And all of a sudden, they start to appear etherically, and I can see them, in my mind's eye. I can see what they look like. I open my eyes. I'm just in my bathroom, a little haziness everywhere. I close my eyes. I can see these beings showing up, etheric little spiritual looking dudes, but some of them are animals. Some of them are very strange looking. Some of them are like hairy, just like different little etheric creatures. And they're sending me love. And little frog man starts talking to me, and he welcomes me and asks me if I accept this task. It's super fantastic, and I started crying, and like it was the most extraordinary experience I've ever had. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Is this real? And after a while of this talking with these beings, and me accepting, I guess, my earthly task they asked me about, and I accepted, because this was pretty amazing. I don't think there was anything negative about this experience at all. These beings I don't think anything that was malevolent could send you feelings like that. And you had this type of message for you. But after the whole thing was over, that I was getting these amazing downloads all day. You need to read this. You need to look into this. Go do this. Do this. Quit your job. That kept popping in there. Quit your job. And I'm like, fuck, I can't quit my job. I'm making like $60,000, $70,000.
And move halfway across the country.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm gonna quit a very nice paying job and do this where I'm making at the time about $300-400 a month off the podcast, as opposed to maybe $60,000-70,000 a year. Okay, so I have this is pounding in my head, but at the same time, I hate my job. I loathe my job. I didn't like the people I worked with. I didn't like the feelings I got when I was at work, and it increased after that. I became more sensitive to energy, people's feelings, even sometimes people's thoughts. This kind of I opened up somehow, and I became more empathic, and I could sense things, and I found out that I could even manipulate things and manifest things at times, but only if I was doing it in a positive way and, not in a selfish way, and for the right reasons. And I, kind of embraced that and said, all right, so I need to apparently quit my job. Well, let me finish this contact experience. It happened one more day. The third day it happened, I got sick, and I wanted ultimate. I was like, this is real, but I don't know. I need more proof. I'm an asshole. I don't know. So I was like, I got sick. I accidentally ate the wrong thing, and I'm like in the worst pain ever. And I have stomach problems. Sometimes go to the hospital because of it. Not anymore, but I used to. And I'm like, all right, guys, if this is real, y'all come here and heal me or something. I was, I don't know. I was in pain, and I was kind of yelling at him. And Laird shows up, this beautiful feeling of love. He's like, you can do that for yourself. As soon as he said that, I'm feeling this amazing feeling of love. The pain is gone. Everything's gone immediately. And that's never happened. And I was like, all right, so there's something. I got to accept this. This is something real. This is, this is real. So I had to pursue what this was telling me to do. And I did. And it was like kind of one of those, if you build it, they will come things. So I, at the time, I had my producer and occasional co-host, Corey Hughes. He came live with me, and we were in Louisiana at the time. I was still doing my shitty job, and the show was just barely scraping a few, $100 a month by. And I was like, you know what? Something's telling me to just quit and go somewhere better. I hated it there in Louisiana. I was like, oh, screw it. I took out my life savings, which was not that much. And we just took off to here, where I'm at now in Colorado, and just started doing the show, hammering out episodes like daily. I would do maybe 2 or 3 episodes a week before because of my day job. And now I just threw myself into it and we struggled for a while. We had to ask for donations. And it for there was a couple of weeks and months there where it looked like we wouldn't be able to do this, and we would have to give up and get some day jobs, go and flip burgers or something. But one day it just happened. We looked at our revenue, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to be able to pay our rent, and we're going to be able to actually have food the next month. And, things just kept getting a little better because I think I did what I was supposed to do with the universe, with myself, with these guides was asking me to do. And that's the understanding that I've come to about who and what I was talking to. Not necessarily aliens, not necessarily extraterrestrial beings from a different planet, or even necessarily from a different dimension. I believe that I was talking to either my higher self and my spirit guides, or my future self and spirit guides, or a combination of both, or all of the above, or none of the above. I'm still not going to say for sure I know what it is, but that's where I'm leaning towards right now. Is my inner self, my guides were trying to push me because I was miserable, and I knew I was supposed to do something with this show. Yeah. And they had a conversation with me. They kicked me in the ass to get me going. And I completely believe that it's, we're all connected. Everything in this universe is connected. So even though it was me, it was still something other than myself telling me to do this as well. It's not just me. It's my connection to source. It's my connection to, I believe there are angels. I believe we have spirit guides. I believe there are other entities that have our back, that are with us at all times, that if we're not going the right direction, they're going to manifest in some way to try and get us to go in that direction. And it's our choice after that. If we choose to do it, great. If we don't, and we might not see what we want. So I think that's what happened. And I think that it manifests different ways for different people, and people that seek the experience will experience it easier, and people that fight it and don't want to go along with the flow, if you know what I mean.
I really do.
That's it, basically.
So if you can encapsulate all of that into, I want to ask you, what did you learn, and what advice can you give the audience based on your own experiences?
Okay, so yeah, this is just what happened for me. So I don't want to try and give anyone advice or tell anyone what to do, but this is what worked in my life. And if I've heard it works in other people's life too. So maybe it might work for you. I don't know. For me, it was put the fear aside. You got to get rid of a lot of fear. That's the killer. Fear is the killer of everything. It's the killer of dreams, killer of lives. It's what's brainwashing everybody right now. It's what's changed our society for the worse. And fear will destroy this whole planet if we let it. But you have to get rid of it for yourself. And if you just realize that, like I said earlier, you're connected to everything and everyone. And even the a-hole that's yelling at you to put on a mask in the store, that's still you in a way. You know, you're connected to everything and everyone. And if you're just here for this meat suit experience to learn something on this matrix rock that we're on, whatever it is, I'm not going to get into what shape the planet is, but if you're, if you realize that you're just a spiritual being and temporarily in this meat suit experience, in this video game, to learn what you have to learn to move on to your next experience as a spiritual being. If you know that, and there's no end to that, you're not going to ever dissipate or disappear. Your energy is going to go on forever, no matter what you learn, no matter what they tell you. You're going to keep going in some way, shape, or form. There's nothing to worry about. Fuck who's threatening you with your livelihood about a shot or doing all this. I know it sucks. You can't work. You can't feed your family. But you have to take a stand somewhere. And, I'm not going to get into the whole ideology and everything and philosophy of what's happening right now and on a global scale with people and the ooga booga jab and all that stuff. But it's fear. And I think that if people just lose that fear and realize, this is just a ride. It's like a roller coaster for a little while, and do what they want to do. Don't be held back from the fear, and actually come into your own and do what you've been wanting to do with your life, and fudge. I'm not gonna what everybody else thinks and says. And if people are telling you that's stupid or don't do that, it's not gonna work. No, you do what you want to do. This is your experience here. This is your matrix. You make it what you want and what you need, and you make it out of your matrix, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck here, and you'll be going to be back in the same crappy matrix thing that you were before, and you won't have it figured out. So that's just my opinion.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. What was really interesting, what you said, was how you knew by the feelings you got that this was a good communication, a good thing. It was in your best interest. And people often ask me, I'm afraid to try, because what if I get, abducted by Greys and they hurt me and they want to give me an anal probe and all the rest of that stuff. Well, I have heard of that happening, and I would never discredit anybody's experience. But from my experience, I know a thing or two about energy. And I know that for a being to emit that kind of love frequency, they have to be in the love harmonic. So lower level demons or malevolent ETs or anything that doesn't have our best interests at heart, it can't go to those places. It can't raise its frequency. So when we feel that amazing love connection, wow, it's so soothing. And it's, for me, a little bit addictive, to be honest, because there's nothing really like it on earth. Nobody loves me the way my higher self. And again, I think there's a lot of overlap between angels and ETs and interdimensionals, and oh my goodness, it's very complex, and I think the more I don't try to figure it out, I just go with it, the better. It sounds like you've taken the same path. So I really agree with you on that. Now, we got a couple of minutes left, but I want to ask you, if you want to add more to that, you please feel free to. But I wanted to ask you, your original show, Forbidden Knowledge News, has now grown to a network of programs. And so I wanted you to talk maybe a little bit about Beyond Classified. How is that different from Forbidden Knowledge News? And where is Forbidden Knowledge News headed? And I'm talking about your network now, because you're now grown into a network. So can you tell us about some of the shows and just whatever you want to say about that?
Sure. Yeah, this is another thing that I never would have imagined would happen. And just the fact that people are listening to the show is a miracle for me, and it's a blessing and it's a wonderful thing. But to be able to feature other people's shows now and help other people out and get other people's names out there is just awesome. It's what this is all about. It's helping people come into their own and do their own thing. So yeah, it's the Forbidden Knowledge Network. Beyond Classified is my second podcast that I started last year, and it was Corey Hughes. I have to thank for the whole idea and concept for Beyond Classified. But this is just it's our premium shows where we can talk about the most, I don't want to say extreme, but the things you can't hear on YouTube are some of these mainstream platforms that are being censored now. Some of the hot topics like the Ooga Booga and the Jabby Jab and, all these things that are going on right now with our society, the Illuminati, NWO, all these hot topics that you can't touch on the big platforms. You're going to hear it here. And we go deep and we go hard and we come at the system. So that's my secondary podcast. That's all the stuff that you won't really be able to hear on the main Forbidden Knowledge News YouTube channel. But we also do a lot. It's not just our, current events, parapolitics, things of that nature. We also do ufology and paranormal, metaphysical on Beyond Classified, but we do the more deep topics, a little bit more controversial topics Forbidden Knowledge News, I try to keep somewhat family friendly so everybody can listen. A curse word may slip out here and there, oopsie. But if Beyond Classified, I wouldn't recommend your kids watching. But it's definitely is extremely important information that needs to get out there and very relevant to what's going on right now. So that's our secondary podcast. We also have Day Zero. By the way, you can access all these on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. I think Karen will have those in the description. But yeah, Day Zero we started a few weeks ago. Now this is the 4 hosts. It's myself, Corey Hughes, Charlie Robinson, and X Cube 420, and we covered the hot topics of the week, what's been going on in our world, anything and everything. And that's another one we don't recommend your kids watching. It's a more of a comedic type show. We try and cover these topics with humor and dirty jokes. So that's a really fun show, and that's every Sunday live. You can catch it on Rockfin, and then it goes out to strictly podcast only, and that's Day Zero. You can access that on our website or all popular podcast platforms. We also have Raised by Giants with our friend Ryder Lee. Ryder's been doing a fantastic job lately, getting some amazing guests and doing some awesome shows and getting himself out there. Raised by Giants is on YouTube and our network now, and he does shows every week, every Tuesday. You can check out all his stuff. He's doing some great work, and he's an occasional co-host, and he appears on Day Zero and Forbidden Knowledge News as a co-host occasionally as well. So check out Raised by Giants. We also have Inception. Inception is also a brand new show that we picked up on our network. Is hosted by Gloria Canning. She is extraordinary. She kind of contacted me out of the blue a few weeks ago. We got talking. She has a show that she does out of the UK called Open Minds, and she wanted to make a show on my network, and she is fantastic. Please go check out the Inception podcast. That comes out once a week every Friday, and she has some fantastic guests. A lot of the guests you'll recognize from my show, and this is all about consciousness, exploring consciousness and the nature of reality. So check out those amazing podcasts on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. Hopefully we'll be having some more coming up soon, and if anybody wants their show featured on the Forbidden Knowledge Network, just hit me up with an email. We can get you a podcast going, and not only a podcast, we can get you a monetized podcast. This money does not go to us, it goes to you. Okay, so get in touch with me, Forbidden Knowledge News at gmail.com, and we can get you set up too.
Wonderful. Now, we're running out of time really fast, but there's one other thing I want to bring up to the folks, and that is, since I've known you, you started to take an amazing product called C60 Purple Power. And I remember when you first got to took the sponsorship. Now I want to tell folks here that you were completely demonetized by YouTube. And that's what you were relying on when you left your job and you started doing this full time. And around the same time you met Ken Schwartz, and you found out about C60 Purple Power. And I saw you started telling folks that you just started taking it and you're really optimistic. And I saw within about 2 weeks such a transformation in your health, the way you looked on screen. I went, oh my God, I got to get me some of that stuff. And I understand you're still taking it. You're looking fantastic. You know, when you watch some of Chris's older podcasts and you compare to the way he looks now, oh my God, what a difference. So I just wanted to know, before we sign off, do you have a few things you want to say about C60 Purple Power? I understand that's, that's one of your major contributors to your channel, and I just wanted to give you a chance to say a few words about it, because it's such an incredible product, and the proof is in the pudding. You look younger than you did 10 years ago, and I just wondered if you wanted to say a few words, because to me that is also tied in with your spiritual transformation, your health, your ability to hold frequency. I'll zip it now and let you say a few words, Chris.
No, you're right. It all this kind of did start after I was taking C60 for a while, and I started feeling better. My health was getting better. So that is an interesting kind of correlation to everything. But yeah, I have to thank Ken Schwartz from C60 Purple Power. He got me on with the sponsorship, and once I started taking it, it was about maybe half a month, and I just noticed that I was feeling so much better. I even started losing weight. I was sleeping better. It's an amazing product, and I haven't been sick at all since I've been taking C60 Purple Power. I'll get the occasional stomach ache, or if I eat something stupid, maybe a sniffle here and there, but that's it. And I'm better within a day or so. And I think that has a lot to do with C60 Purple Power. It's supposedly the most powerful antioxidant known to man. It's formed from material from red stars. It is it's very rare material found in nature, and it basically scavenges free radicals from your body, and it works amazing. You can even get C60 for your pets. We had a senior dog. We still have a senior dog that is doing great now. She's been taking C60. She was like going blind. She had tumors. I think the her eyesight is, we're not going to say it's healed it, but it's not gotten any worse, and her tumors are almost gone, and she's doing great. She's got a lot of pep. She runs around. So yeah, C60 for your pets. It's a fantastic product. I guess you'll have the link in the description. Go check that out. And if that link doesn't work, you can always use coupon code Knowledge10. You get 10% off any order plus free shipping. So yeah, and it's really worth it, guys, if you want to take back control of your health. So thank you, Karen. Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, I just wanted you to add that because the proof is in the pudding, and definitely it's made a big difference. Your whole life has changed since I met you, and I'm very happy for you, Chris. Very happy. But we're out of time. And so I'm going to say thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. I appreciate the way that you've had such a positive influence on my life. I really encourage people to check out all your podcasts on your network, everything, and they'll definitely be glad that they did. So anyway, so thank you, Chris, and thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below.